Sorry. I had to drive, Nat pointed out. I know, totally my bad, Gina said, wrapping the neon pink and green apron with their Street Cakes logo emblazoned on it around her waist. I'm amazed the truck is still in one piece. Gina ducked, and the cupcake Nat threw at her bounced harmlessly off the wall. Your aim seriously sucks, Nat snorted. Tell me something I don't know. Go take a break. I'll hold down the fort for a few minutes. Nat grinned and grabbed a bottle of water. A nice little stroll did sound good. Just for a minute. Don't burn the place down while I'm gone. I'll try. Gina stuck her tongue out, the little girl gesture looking totally out of place with her favorite heavy eyeliner, lip ring, and pink-streaked black hair. Get out of here. Nat stepped outside the truck and took a deep breath, lifting her face to the slight breeze. The end of summer had given way to slightly cooler days, but it still got uncomfortably hot inside the truck. She closed her eyes and took another good breath and stepped around the side of the truck onto the sidewalk, right into a man who'd been innocently enjoying a cone of chocolate gelato. Her forehead collided with his elbow, the elbow that was attached to the hand that held his cone, the cone that had been lifted to his mouth, the cone that was now plastered all over his face and, from what she could tell, was also lodged a good way up his nose. The gorgeous, perfectly sculpted nose that belonged to her Mr. Gelato. Holy crap, I'm so sorry. Nat turned around and grabbed a handful of napkins from the ledge of her truck, throwing a horrified glance at Gina, who was staring with her jaw hanging open. Here, she said, trying to mop up his face. He hadn't moved or said a word, and Nat worried that the gelato had somehow made it so far up his nose it had frozen his brain and paralyzed him. She opened her mouth to apologize again when he suddenly lifted a finger, his face screwing up into a horrible grimace. He snatched the wad of napkins from her and she jerked back. But instead of throwing them in her face, as he had every right to do, he brought them to his own face and sneezed. Explosively. Nat gasped and turned back to grab another handful of napkins, thrusting them into his dripping hands. He took them, nodded his thanks, and blew his nose several more times. Here. Gina tossed her the baby wipes they used for sticky situations, and Nat turned back to Mr. Gelato, who seemed to be doing much better now that he'd cleared his sinuses of the frozen treat. I'm so sorry. I didn't see you there. One corner of Gelato's mouth quirked up. Obviously. Nat gave him a hesitant smile and handed him the wet wipes. He mopped his face off and cleaned up his hands before getting as much of the goop off his shirt as he could. You missed a spot, Nat said, reaching up to wipe a bit of chocolate from the tip of his nose. He didn't move but stood still, watching her with a pair of unbelievable blue eyes, almost gray. Like the color of the sky just before a storm, when it should be too dark to see anything, yet the sun manages to shine through. The ring surrounding the iris was such a dark shade of gray it was almost black. The combination was striking. Nat also couldn't help but notice her head would fit perfectly into the hollow beneath his chin, and she bet it would feel pretty damned wonderful to have his arms wrapped around her, arms that were encased in a gorgeous tailored suit. If the straining seams were any indication, they were probably everything her imagination was cracking them up to be. His smile grew wider, showing a row of straight, white teeth. A tiny scar cut through his upper lip just at the right corner. She had an outrageous urge to kiss that spot. She bit her own lip instead, trying to get a grip. I think you've gotten it all, he said. Might have taken off a few layers of skin, too. Nat blinked and dropped her hand, her face flaming hot.